they're obviously a really good team. There's a reason they're number one in the country. I thought first half we played pretty well. We were down 5 on the glass. Needed to clean it up a little bit, and then the second half we've had this issue where we just haven't had very good starts to the second half. We came out, didn't have a good start, and then it just progressively got worse. I think they scored 39 the entire first half, and they had 39 in less than 12 minutes to start the second half. So start to the second half was bad. Obviously, they came out of the halftime ready to play. We didn't. The toughness factor was a problem. I mean, it's impossible. I shouldn't say impossible. It's nearly impossible to win a game when your opponent gets 28 more field goal attempts than you. I mean, if you look, we outshot them from the field and from the free throw line both. Percentage-wise, free throws, they made one more free throw than we did, and they got 28 more field goal attempts. So, you can't win games giving your opponent 28 more field goal attempts. So, offensive glass, we had 3 the whole game. They had 22. We lost the rebounds by 20 again. This has been a recurring issue with us. To Purdue, I think we lost it by 24. Gonzaga beat us. I mean, it's like when we play these tough physical teams, we haven't answered the bell real well on the glass. I thought Labaron did a pretty good job on the defensive end. He ended up with 10, but they had 2 guys, their starting center in Krivas and their backup center in Waka, that combined for 16 boards and combined for 29 rebounds total. So, if you look, our team had 32, two team rebounds. So our guys combined for 30 rebounds, and their 2 bigs combined for 29. So we've got rebounding issues. Until we fix them, we're not really going to be able to beat a good team. We had 2 solid wins in St. John's and Illinois, but the 3 elite teams we played, we've lost 2 because we got our tails kicked on the glass, and today was just as bad as, maybe worse than any of them, because at least against Purdue we went and got a few boards ourselves. We didn't get any, and we ended up with 1. Keaton Bristol got 1 board in the second half. We had 1 offensive rebound the entire second half. So, and then you include the turnovers. We only turned them over 4 times. They got some really good guards, and we got turned over 15 times. So when you talk about the possession game, you look at boards and turnovers, we're minus 30 combined, minus 19 on the boards, minus 11 on the turnovers. When you lose the possession game by 30, your opponent gets 28 more field goal attempts, and it's nearly impossible to win a game like that.
We try to make an emphasis all week that, the guards had to come down and try to rebound, try to get some, more rebounds for our bigs. I think, I did a good job at that in the first half. Really didn't get too many rebounds in the second half. I think I could have did a better job crashing the glass on the offensive end. But, we just got to keep working. I think, the better we get is going to be like when we really just sit down on defense, be physical, and just keep guys out of the paint and just rebound the ball. That's simple, and it's going to be simple as that. You can't make it no harder than that. You just got to go out there and do the tough plays.
Johnny, in the second half there, when they went on a 28-6 run, elected to let you guys play through it. Just the rationale for not taking time out there and letting them kind of sit with it.
Call a timeout and tell them play harder. Or call a timeout and make adjustments. I'm not going to call a timeout and tell them play harder. And these guys are supposed to be competitors. If you compete, you play hard. So I didn't think there was any defensive adjustments to make. The adjustment was made to play harder. So if the adjustment's to play harder, they need to figure that out on the fly.
Latrell, how do you feel physically? Seems like you were working through some things on the sideline sometimes.
I feel good. I'm just getting back into play. Take some time, but I feel good. Clark has been really good with me, helping my body out and just continuing to go throughout the season, but I feel good.
For either player, what would y'all attribute the slow second half starts to? What do you need to do to fix those going forward?
I would say turnovers definitely. I feel like I made a couple bad passes myself. Just getting in the lane, not knowing where we're going with the ball, I would say that, I made a couple of mistakes, but just really getting back in transition. And like Coach said, it's been way more physical that, we've been in the first half. We already knew that, some of the guys were going to come out and be aggressive. Like, we was, trying to whip the screens at the point of attack and, stop the guys from getting downhill. And they saw that and they took a chance to just, step back and hit a couple threes. But, we just had to get guys off the line, be way better on defense, and, like Coach said, rebounding basketball. So I think that was the sum of the second half.
Anything else for the players? Johnny, last one. Nate, just wanted to ask you about the rebounding again. Noah Williamson kind of finding his way to play at this level. How much more are you going to need from him from the rebounding standpoint that he can already do?
Yeah, I mean, we got to get a lot more. I thought he did. This week's been his best week of practice. I think he's been playing a lot better. He only had one rebound in just under 11 minutes, which isn't enough, but I did think he brought a level of physicality to the game. I thought he got a tough whistle on one old board he got. So, I think he can give us some solid minutes. We obviously played Aiden Sherrill too much. He played over 14 minutes in the first half and started full body cramping there early in the second. He only got 20 minutes in. It's the highest player load he'd ever had in the first half and a half. So what we're going to have to figure out, whether it's Noah, Keaton, somebody there, kind of give him more backup minutes at the five that'll rebound the ball for us, because he's got to get some help. I mean, shoot, he played well. Played 20 minutes, had 7 points, 5 rebounds, 8 blocks. 8 blocks in 20 minutes, pretty good day for him. So we got to get him, I got to do a better job getting him better breaks, particularly probably there in that first half, and we got to keep him on the floor a little bit more.
Charlie and Darren, you guys are good. Thank you. Keep your hands up. We'll start with guys get out. We'll start with Jason. Go ahead, Chase.
Coach, usually 15 block shots would go along with good rebounding, but obviously the rebounding wasn't there, the blocks were. How do you kind of square the bad rebounding night with all the block shots?
Yeah, I mean, it's 15 block shots. We couldn't seem to get too many of them. It's, because you look, sometimes if you block them out of bounds, that ends up being a T-Mo board for them. They only had 2. So somehow, I'd have to go look at them between the 15 blocks. They probably ended up with getting the ball back on a bunch of them, which, like you said, if you get 15 blocks and you're playing that hard, on that end, you think you ignite the break the other way a little more. It seemed like way too many 50-50 balls. It wasn't 50-50 tonight. It's a lot more tilted their way. So we got to be able to come up with loose balls. Those come off block shots. We're going to have to figure out what guys want to make some tough plays and probably get them more minutes, to be honest with you.
Charlie.
Just understanding that you had 12 new guys, what went into 3 minutes for Jalil, 0 for Big One?
Yeah, I mean, the turnovers were an issue, and Davion's had an issue turning the ball over. But obviously, in hindsight, maybe should have played those guys a little more, because the guys I played didn't work. So Davion plays hard. He probably could have helped fix the rebounding issue. It's just turnover rate's been really high, and Jalil, probably needed a few more minutes. Again, turnover problem was an issue, but shoot, the guys I played turned it over 15 times. So it's one of those games, and hindsight, probably made some mistakes. Probably should have played a few guys more minutes, because the guys we had in there obviously didn't get the job done very well.
Yeah, you challenged the guys you mentioned yesterday to rebound and Nate Oats and stuff in this game. What do you think you can do then, if it's not just challenging them to better impact rebounding moving forward?
Yeah, I don't know, because I'm looking like we got to get. I do think Keaton's a pretty good rebounder. He's coming off the injury. I think he can help us more. We got to get Noah helping us a little more. I mean, Taylor's the big factor that he plays a lot of minutes and doesn't get very many rebounds at 6'10". So he's the big one that can help fix the problem, probably the easy, the best. But if he doesn't want to do it, we're just going to find somebody else to do it.
Katie,
If my math is right, at one point Brady scored 15 straight points in the second half. Is what became so difficult about that?
Yeah, so I think, I don't have the scouting report in front of me, but he was making about 1-3 a game coming into this. I think he made 7 or 8, somewhere in there. He's a really good player. I mean, we loved him coming out of high school. He'd struggled quite a bit shooting it up until this point. We were they only take 16 threes a game, and now they took 17 in the first half. And then he came out and hit a bunch in the second half. So they're not a team that shoots a lot of threes, but tonight they made 2 less than us. So, we didn't do a great job guarding them. We went to switching. 2 guys switched on him, sat there and watched him come off the dribble and shoot it right in their face. So like they got to switch up, run him off the line when he starts to get it going. They didn't do a good job of that, but yeah, he's a really good player, like very good player. So maybe this will be the game to get him going, because I thought, he'd been struggling a little bit their first 8 games or so, and he didn't struggle tonight, that's for sure. He's a really good player. Part of our defense wasn't very good.
Coach, before the Clemson game, you said that Collins is going to have further testing done. Is there any update on him and maybe how he might help?
Yeah, I think he's going to have to have another procedure done, from what Clark's telling me, and I think he had to wait some time to have it done. So it's going to be a while yet before we know. And then after the procedure, you got to wait so many weeks and see where it goes. So he's not going to be back playing anytime soon here.
Hey, Coach, Aiden Holloway was held for us for the first time tonight. Is the wrist still bothering him, or is it just lack of being aggressive considering hearing himself ball twice?
Yeah, no, the wrist is obviously bothering him. This isn't how he usually is. He wasn't aggressive like he usually is. I think he was tough, tried to play for his teammates, make it go. But yeah, I mean, he wasn't even shooting threes 2 days ago. He shot some yesterday. Was able to get it up, but thought he'd have to get his legs more into it. And obviously, he wasn't comfortable, because he's a lot better player than what he showed tonight, and he's played a lot better for us in the past. But yeah, we need to get healthy. We need to figure out a rotation, and we got to figure our rebounding out. And him getting healthy would be a big part of what we do. Yeah, I mean, he had full body cramps. We just didn't think when he came back out of the locker room, with the way the score was, by the time he came back out, it didn't make any sense to put him back in and risk anything. So Clark does a great job. Dr. Bittner and Clark will, evaluate him. Should, I don't know, maybe get an IV or something. I don't know why he started overheating and body cramped up. So it just didn't make any sense to put him back in. But he played great for the 20 minutes he was able to play tonight.